Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Coffee Guy, and this is a review of what has to be one of the coolest tanks in the game, the Rover 237. Now I know I said that before about the Vanguard and the LT432 as well, but I'm just like a kid in a sweet shop at the moment with all of these tanks. Now first of all, special thanks to all of my latest subscribers. I really appreciate you joining me, and of course welcome back to all of my older subscribers too. Now I know that I'm a bit late with the review of this tank, as it's been and gone from the store already. My only excuse really is that I was waiting until the base bundle dropped and got distracted by the other new tanks out, so I've only really just got around to start playing it. But hopefully this review will help you decide if it's for you, if you're on the fence, and if not, how to take them down if you come across them on the battlefield. So first of all, what is it? Well, it's a space-themed version of the US T6 light tank, the T37. It comes complete with a pretty cool space race NASA orange and white theme, its own astronaut helmets on the side, and it's meant to be a permanent counterpart to the Tier 9 Lunar M24 Chaffee that gets released once a year for the special game battle mode on the moon. Its real life counterpart, the T37, was meant to be a replacement for the World War II Chaffee tank. The aim was to give it a bigger gun to deal with the late war German and potentially the Soviet heavier tanks. 3 prototypes were produced at the Detroit Arsenal in the US, but they were never put into service as the Korean War came about and the US was desperately looking for heavier tanks to fight there. And research on the T37 kind of got sidelined, I guess, and it was only picked up again later on after the war, where aspects of its whole configuration, engine setup and gun arrangement were taken forward into the M41 Walker Bulldog. So the Rover comes in at a reasonably priced 3,800 gold, and it's got a fairly decent silver bonus of 40%. With an XP bonus of 30%. It also benefits from a camo factor of 0.25, both stationary and moving, which is only 0.03 worse than the Chaffee, despite the massive turret sitting on this thing. Its weight is also less than the T37, so despite having a weaker engine, the Rover is actually 5 km an hour faster, giving it a top speed of 70 km an hour. Its fire risk is also 15 compared to 20 on the Tech Tree T37, and it's got a slightly better power to weight ratio of 27 compared to 25 on the T37. So the gun is very similar to the T37's top gun, except that because it's the Rover special version, it gets buffs to its rate of fire, its pen and its suppression, at the cost of only a slight increase in aim time, giving it a higher DPM overall. So you're thinking, what's the drawback? It's got to be the traverse, right? Well, no, it gets a whole traverse of 52 degrees a second and a turret traverse of 46 degrees a second, both of which are superior to the Tech Tree T37. It even gets a buff of 10 metres to its view range, bringing it up to 390, which is not bad at all for a Tier 6 tank. No change to the signal range, although it's not bad at 745 metres. Another really interesting feature about this tank is the ammo is extremely slimline right down there on the floor, making it incredibly hard to hit from the side. In terms of crew, there are 5. You've got your loader and commander up in the turret. I would say watch out for the loader because he tends to get taken out quite a lot, so you'll need quite a lot of medikits. Just like the Tech Tree T37, the armour is very weak at 25mm on the side, 32 on the mantlet, and 25 again on the turret side. And in my experience, if you get hit, you'll get penned, and with a turret that big, you'll get hit quite a lot. And so now, if we compare the Rover with the Tech Tree T37, I want to say I feel like the turret on the Rover is bigger, even taller. I don't know, maybe it's just me. What do you think? Maybe that's just me though. But there are some major differences. In particular, the Tech Tree version gets a thicker strip on the lower glacis plate, as you can see. And so despite having that better gun depression on the Rover, where you could really use that thicker strip at the bottom, you don't have it, and that's something to keep in mind. On the other hand, the Tech Tree version has a much bigger ammo rack. Can you see how big that is? And they're much easier to hit through the side of the tank. And if you're thinking that something looks a bit odd between these two tanks, but they just don't quite look right, the Tech Tree T37 and the Lunar Rover, well, that's because the holes are in fact completely different. The Lunar Rover has the hole from the Chaffee, not from the T37, as you can see here. So moving back to the Rover, the shell prices are the same, but your standard armour piercing does give you an extra 4 penetration on average, but nothing's changed with the premium or high explosive. Equipment, gun laying drive, gun rammer, just to bring those gun stats up. In terms of the crew, I've gone for 6th Sense, which is standard on a light tank, and Recon, just to get that view range up. So there we go, some quite significant differences between what I thought was a simple reskin and its tech tree equivalent. Now let's see if these actually play out when we get into some of the gameplay. So it's Fisherman's Bay, it's a tier 7 game. So trying to put those things I talked about in the garage into practice, I rushed straight up to the village on the centre line to try and get some spots in. It's not really worked that well for me. I think some other people on my team got into range first and they got the spots in, but oh well, here's what it is. We've lit their team up pretty well for now. And you can start to see that the dispersion on the move in it is actually pretty good. That ring shrinks down quite quickly. But you can also see that you get other light tanks around about that tier 6, who are faster than you. If they get up close and circle around you, your turret is not quick enough to keep up with them, even though it's had a buff over the tech tree T37. So that's really something to watch out for. And this was an early game that I played in it, and really getting this close and personal with those lights is a mistake. Having played it a bit more now, I would be hanging back further and relying more on its view range and gun handling. But this A44 was completely oblivious to me being there, which highlights again that fairly decent camo rating. So I'm quite happy to farm some damage off of him while he's distracted. And that AMX Chaffee is going to have to go. He is becoming a bit of a nuisance. So I try to anticipate and lead there, just a bit too far ahead. But I think I'll get him on the next shot. Can we do it? Yep, got him. So he's down. I think this is where I start to get a little bit too cocky and almost get taken out. So I go forward again to try and get some more spots in, keep them lit up, and start taking an incredible amount of fire. Now I was really lucky I didn't lose any crew members at this point. There we go. There's the driver and the spotter out of action. So a medkit really is essential in this thing. Well, that OI I'm going to have trouble with. So I'm trying to keep down below his gun depression and get round the side of him. He's taken a nasty hit then. You see how much of his hit points just disappeared in a flash. I'm just trying to get around the side of him, get one onto his flat side. I might have a chance of going through. But you can really see the speed on this is quite good, and also the acceleration from a standstill. It's a really nippy little tank. It's just a shame about that height. That kind of limits your ability to dodge fire. I found people, if they just randomly shoot, because you're so tall, they'll clip you anyway, whereas you wouldn't have that if you were one of the little AMXs, even though the speed is about the same. So speaking of AMXs, I'm just going to see if I can help out with this guy. Got a couple of lucky shots in there. But you see, later on in the game is when you do want to try and use that speed and start to get up close and personal. When people are distracted and they're not all going to swarm you, you've just got one-on-one. Then you can really use that good rate of fire and speed to get up close and take people down. And so we've been mirroring each other team for team pretty well, down to 4 each now. So it's still a little bit tense. I'm just trying to light up some more targets. It looks like all of the enemy are in the town, so I'm just going to try and rush over and help out. IS-2, if I can get round him and flank him, I should be fine. He's quite slow and not very accurate, but I'm a one-hit kill for anything on the game, so I do need to be a little bit cautious right now. Not get too carried away with it. But there we go, he's distracted and I can get a nice couple of shots in on him. But again, when I started playing this, I was very into this idea that it's a fast anti-scout tank, and everything I was doing was really quick, click, 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 and I wasn't fully aiming and missed a lot of shots as a result. And I've kind of learnt my lesson a little bit now. It's definitely worth just being careful and taking time. So do I like this tank? Of course. I was always a fan of the T37 to begin with, and whilst that tank had its drawbacks in terms of its traverse for the turret and its size, it more than made up for that with its speed and gun handling. And the Rover is arguably better in every single way. Whilst it's got a slight nerf to its aiming time, its penetration, its gun depression, its view range are all arguably better. And you have to ask, I guess, did it really need all of these buffs? And that's not to say that it's overpowered though. As you've seen from this game, if you play it like an idiot and get up too close too quick, you'll die pretty quickly. 600 hit points won't take you a long way. So it's really a tank that is well suited if you're patient to start with, if you're happy to snipe from a distance and then close in and flank right at the end. So that was quite a good game. I managed to get my first class badge in it and quite a hefty dose of silver too. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you found this video useful, and feel free to suggest recommendations for tanks that I can review in future. Coffee Guy out.